Casey, hopefully you can hear this. So anyway, I'm just working on the, as you can see up here, the January 19th, 2019 Myerstown set in arrangement view. And this has Adam has put the set in here, and so the way that it's set up is you've got your songs going in this direction: Only King Forever, Overcome, Reckless Love, Behold the Lamb, and then Exalted Over All are the 5 songs that we have in there. Emmanuel is just an extra thing for that. That, you know, in case we had an extra song or something like that. And then he's also got the, down here is where the song tempos are programmed in, so he's already got that stuff all programmed in. And you can see here, if you click here on all of these groups, you can see you know, there's a guitar group, pad, percussion, and synth. And Adam has loaded in these tracks into the individual songs that go with each one of those things. So I always go in and make sure that, well, I try to always go in and make sure that the keys are correct. So I'll listen to it, and so if I click here, you know, you got a bunch of guitar stuff going on there. So the other thing too to make sure of is that your channels that are selected for the external output are correct over here. Now, whenever you're kind of just making the set, you probably know how to do this, but I always set it to channels 1 and 2 so I can hear it while I'm in my office. But then once I go into the worship center and want to use Dante, you would go to either File, hold on a sec. No, you go to Live Preferences and pull up this box, and then under Audio, here at Audio Output Device, instead of using the built-in output, you would go here, and when you use this in the worship center, you would plug in that little dongle, and it should bring up Dante, especially whenever you are using this Dante virtual sound card here. Whenever you start that up, you'll see the network interface. It should have something there, as well as the network status, and the IP address should be there. There should be an IP address, and there should be a network status there too, I believe. But and then, you know, if it's not started, you can just hit this start button right here, and it will, you know, it should work. Sometimes it's a little fishy, so you gotta ask for help or try to get it working. But anyway, for when I'm just doing this in my office and setting things up, I'll have it on built-in output, and then these things are set to 1 and 2. So you can hear that, you know, we got sound coming out. That's Overcome. Reckless Love is just a pad, and you know, he has, what we have over here in the pad group is, as you can hear, I stopped it, but it's still going. And so we have a pretty long reverb on there, and you can see reverb pad right here. And that just basically makes it so that we don't have to use that fade out and fade in feature that we had programmed in. This just makes the reverb just nice and smooth, and it never really like abruptly cuts off, which is nice. But you only want to use that for pads that you use. Like if you put a regular a pad from like an actual multi-track in there, it would delay the pad sound and it would start to get a little too mushy. But whenever you're just using that by itself, it works great. So anyway, I kind of looked at this before I started recording this, and I saw that Behold the Lamb, if I listen to it.
2. Intro. 2, 3, 4.
Hopefully you can hear the key that's in. And the way that I'm doing the set is a little different than Lancaster. I'm doing Behold the Lamb in the key of A instead of the key of B. Right now, the original of Behold the Lamb is in C, and you can see down here that it's transposed to -1, which would put it in the key of B, but I want it to be in the key of A. So I'm going to select all the tracks for Behold the Lamb, except for percussion. I don't need to transpose percussion because that's not a you don't need to transpose percussion. But so I did the keys, and then I did both guitars, and you can see that they're like selected here. There's a multi-selection here, and so I'm going to take this. I'll click on it, and I'm going to take it down 2 more half steps, which will put it in the key of A.
Verse 4.
And it should be same key as Exalted Overall. So that sounds right. So that should be good. So what I'll probably end up doing in Behold the Lamb and Exalted Overall is I'm probably going to run those together. I'll probably end up making those go very quickly from one into another, so when I have like a smooth fade. So you can see that there's a bunch of space in here. Almost, if you look down here, it's probably about 5 minutes worth of space, but I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to press Shift Command Delete, and that's going to delete that space. And if you forget that, you can go up here to Edit, and what you're actually doing is doing this, delete time. So you can see here that it says Shift Command Delete. So I'll just click that, and what happens is it deletes the time. You don't want to just delete, you don't want to just hit delete, or else it's not going to do anything. It'll just delete something that's there, that's selected. You want to actually delete the time. So I'm going to delete the time, and you see it got rid of that time. And so there's still a little bit more space in there. And so I'm going to take this and I'll delete that. So now you can see that usually what I do is I look to where the click stuff is.
Ending.
So that's the end of the song, and it's kind of fading out. Still fading out, which is fine. But then it fades out pretty quickly, or it fades out and there's a lot of space in there.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
So I'm going to turn that click off because it's just a lot. Actually, I'm going to make it so that it, since it's 105, I'm going to just make it 4/4. And it'll take that click down.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
Instead of double of that. So, but there's a little bit too much space there for my liking in like the keys thing. So you can see that the tracks are already running up against each other. So what I like to do is I just put these synths in a different spot. Now this seems to me.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
wonder, I'm going to solo this channel. Alright, that's the sound that it has there. I'm going to solo this one, see what it sounds like. So that's actually kind of like a piano sound that's maybe in the background a little bit. So I'm just going to keep it here. But I am going to move it. I am going to move these so that they don't run into each other. I'm going to take this one, command click this one, and move them down. And what I'm going to do is because this, and I want to make sure I unsolo that. But you see here how this is like playing, but it fades out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up here, and like over here's my ending. Like this is where it says ending, right?
Ending.
And then right there, right here, let me get rid of this. Right here is where I think
Ending.
So right here was where it ended. So maybe I'll give it another measure, like maybe to here. Now let's try 2 measures maybe, because it was a pretty long fade out. So I'm gonna try here, and I'm gonna shift command delete again. I'm gonna delete that time again. And so what that did, and I'm also going to do this because I wonder, yeah, see, because I kind of cut out the fade out on that electric guitar, and this one too. So I'm going to move these because you got a bunch of electric guitar parts there for Exalted Overall. I'm going to drag these down so that they're not next to each other. And then this one I shouldn't have to do the same thing because there's nothing happening here. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to drag them over like this. See how my cursor changed? I'm going to drag it over like that, and so now they're overlapping a little bit. But here's what it'll sound like. We'll see what it sounds like.
Ending.
So it's still fading out.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
So you see that it faded out there, but it was kind of a little bit of a smoother fade out. I'll put the click on so you can hear how it would sound in your ears.
Ending.
So there's, and now the song.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
So, you might even, if you want, like, I was kind of feeling like it should be a little bit tighter. So let's play it.
Ending.
3, 4, end. 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it changes. But I think I might want.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
I think I might want the song to actually come in there. So I'm going to delete a little bit more over here. I'm going to take, let's see what happens if I take this out. I'm going to delete this time. Now what happened is now I still have this and it's cut off. So I'm going to delete these. I'm going to delete these as well. And I'm going to select these things as well as these ones. I'm going to pull them over. You see it went over there pretty far, but I'm pretty zoomed in. And then let's see what happens. See what that sounds like.
Ending.
For end.
Intro. 2,
And then,
3, 4.
So that's really tight. You might want to, you might want a little bit more space in there, but that actually feels kind of good to me, so I'm going to leave it like that. So that's how I edit this in order to make my flow very smooth. Like that's a pretty smooth flow there. With Reckless Love, Into Behold the Lamb, like if we're in the midst of Reckless Love, oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And then how's it end? Love of God, yeah. Let's say we're ending the song here.
1, 2.
And then that fades
Intro.
out nicely.
2, 3, 4.
And then goes right into Behold the Lamb. So that's pretty nice flow there. And then the same thing I would probably do for Only King Forever, depending on how much I want, how much of a call to worship I want. I think maybe for this set I'm not going to do much of a call to worship, so I'm going to cut this out. Shift Command Delete, and let's see what that sounds like. All right.
1.
Definitely too long.
2. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Because I could probably do my call to worship right here, so I don't need that much time.
Verse.
So I'm gonna take this.
Outro. 2, 3, 4.
All right, let's see what happens. Now, we've got a lot of electric guitar parts over here, and we've only got 6 channels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take guitar 6, and if I go up here to Edit, and I hit Duplicate or Command D, it's just going to create another guitar channel. And I'm going to create one more, Command D. And then I'm going to take these. I just shift clicked there. And I'm going to drag them down. And then I'm going to look up here. And let's see. How's this sound?
2,
Alright, so here's where it ends, but this is sort of like the downbeat here. So let's try it from here. Oops. Let's try it from here. I'm going to delete this time, Shift, Command, Delete. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I got a keys part here, or a synth part. I'm going to drag that down so that like they can overlap. I'll click that, Shift click there to select all of those, and then Command click here. And then I'm going to drag them this way, which should have done it for up here as well. Let's just see how that sounds.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Actually doesn't sound too bad. There's no space in there. It gives you time for
Verse.
So I kind of like the way that feels. It might actually even be a little bit too much space, and if that's the case, what I would want to do is kind of like fade the volume down on that synth. This synth is pretty harsh. You know, it's very bright. So, you know, but I'm actually okay. I feel like I'm actually okay with what we have here. Let me listen to it one more time.
1, 2.
Yeah, this gives the team a little time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty nice fade. I like that. And then we go into Overcome. So that feels pretty good to me. The one other thing that we've been doing in Lancaster, I don't know if we would want to do this in Myerstown, is after this second song and we go into the announcements, the band in Lancaster plays a little bit. We've just been playing the chord progression from the previous song, but I kind of slow it down a little bit. So what are we at? We're at 80 beats per minute. I think 80 beats per minute is a good tempo. So we might even, like, once we get to the end of Overcome, just kind of keep playing that and let the click keep running until we get to Reckless Love, and then have that, you know, change the key. So anyway, that's basically what I do to set up a set once Adam has programmed it in. You know, that's kind of how I'm fading the songs together. It's pretty simple, and hopefully that helps you. All right, later. Oops. And where am I here? Oh, here's how I do it.